Yeah, Seb, I don't want to cut you off, but the people, yeah. But meanwhile, if you can hear me, I can
I can
basically
hear
tell you that
myself now.
Seb don't.
Yay! Okay, I'm gonna start again. Let's pretend that the last minute never happened. I'm doing everything by
It's a good
myself, so be
start.
patient.
I was gonna say that the TLDR was you saying hello everyone.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back yet again to Code with Italians. Today is the last stream before our summer break, and as you might have noticed, it's Coding with Italians only because there is Roberto here. Ivan has had a problem joining. Let's put it that way. And so I'm doing everything by myself today, and I might have fucked something up. We'll know what later. Only one way to find out. As I was saying, I was looking at the wrong camera because that one doesn't work yet. So I'm using the shitty one. And now I know why that one doesn't work. But I would need a replacement USB cable, and I cannot buy one 2 minutes before starting the stream. So we're stuck with a shit camera for this time. But now the good news is I have a few months to procure a new USB cable, and I might be able to do that. Hello, welcome back, Rebecca. Welcome back, Roberto, to the usual chaos that is this stream.
Thanks
Hello
for having us.
everyone.
I mean,
Happy
we
to be
have a
back.
good vibe here. It might be a chaotic one, but I'll take it.
We can always just talk about 3D printers instead.
No, don't start Roberto again. He spent like 5 minutes talking about 3D printers.
Well, you know, when I get passionate about things, like remember that we could talk about cameras for a long while.
Oh yeah,
Just
let's...
add 3D printers on top of that.
So Mark in the chat.
This
It's
is not
so
an ad
nice.
for anything that like Bamboo Labs or anything, but if they do want to sponsor us,
Yeah, if they want
we
to
are
send,
looking.
like, if you want to send me a 3D printer, I was just telling Roberto I don't know where to put it, but I'll find a way.
Yeah, no, definitely. If they're watching us, we are open to more sponsorships.
Oh yeah, Rebecca, you already have it, so you don't need another one.
Yes, but I would happily make content and build a farm of 3D printers if they did sponsor me. Otherwise, I'm going to start putting a sticker here just to like cover it up.
And as I was mentioning, it looks like there is a random appearance.
So, instance, the stream today is full of them. Let's talk about something else.
So you see, at least with Gabri, we were 100% sure it was Code with the Italians, even without me.
Let's talk about the actual topic of today's stream. We might get there at some point. So, today we're going to be talking about Androidify because last month, about a month ago actually, you folks announced there is a new version of Androidify. Now, I think some history is in order. If you know the history of Androidify, maybe you can give a quick recap. You're nodding very hard, Rebecca, so it looks like your job.
Yeah, so I think there's been a few versions of Androidify. There was the fun version with the 2D bot where you could change like the height and width and size and put different clothes on and like kind of configure it. And then also there was a new one that had the ability to just configure clothes and bot colors and stuff like that. But what we decided to do for this year's I/O was something in line with a lot of all our other topics, which is AI-ify it, I guess, which is we made it an AI version of Androidify. So basically what you do in this, the new version is you take a photo of yourself or you provide a prompt and we let Gemini and ImageGen do the heavy lifting. So what it does essentially is looks at the photo and asks ImageGen, or it asks Gemini for a very descriptive description of what you're wearing. So it looks for things like the collar of your shirt, the kind of hairstyle that you have, any sort of accessories that you're wearing. And once we have that description, we then pass that on to a custom fine-tuned Imagine model. And that model then generates the image that you see in the result of this of the app. So it's kind of like the new take on Androidify in 2025 with all the AI hype. And yeah, it was lots of fun to be part of IO and all of this. And I think we did release quite a bit of content on it. So today we're going to be discussing a lot of it and hopefully answering any of your questions that you have.
I think also an important thing to say is that the app is open source. So if you want to see how that
Yes.
works, you can go and look at the code or touch grass, your choice.
Yes, we put it on GitHub. The GitHub version doesn't connect to the fine-tuned model, as that's a deployment that is internal, but it does connect just to Firebase's Imagine, just the standard Imagine model, which does produce different results, not exactly the Android that you're used to in the 3D version here, but sometimes they're cute, sometimes they're interesting. Sometimes it's not exactly what you want at all, but
It's almost as
yeah,
if
it's
the
loads of fun.
fine-tuning was an important part of the process.
Yes, it was very important. Otherwise, you don't get what you want. But yeah,
You get something, probably.
you get a bot. And I think the fun part with a lot of these kind of tools is that you like get to retry it and like you can tweak it. And so if there's something that you don't like, you just try again, give a different image or different color input and then hope for the best in terms of getting a different result.
Yeah. Okay, so there was actually Maya in the chat that was saying, remember around Lollipop time, you could make an animated Android GIF with props. It's come a long way. I think the thing that is missing still is the creating a GIF, but maybe next year, who knows?
That is something we want to do with VO.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, with VO, you can like prompt it with, put an input image and then get a result and that works now if you're just using VO with the image that you produce from this. But obviously in this app, we don't have it connecting to VO just yet, but it is a possibility that we can add as well. So yeah.
Yeah. That would be very cool.
Another feature that we've been asked quite a lot, and I'm not joking, but last month at I/O we've been asked quite a lot, is to actually produce a 3D version of the model so that it could be 3D printed.
Why are we going back to 3D printers again? Ambulance, if you're listening.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that, sorry.
Walked right into it. I mean, that could be like you could create another. I know that there are some research models that are theoretically able to recreate a 3D mesh from a video or image, and so that could be a way. But I don't think we're serving that kind of models through the Google APIs. So
yeah, this app is an example of many things, and I think one of the big examples is the usage of the Firebase APIs to wrap a lot of these Gemini models and ImageGen models. So yeah, if we do expose that kind of model and it's easy to do, then I think it will be something. It will be a cool feature.
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to print like a custom version of myself.
Oh, I mean, that would be awesome. And I know Roberto's already bought all the filament that he needs.
Exactly.
You don't have any possible proof that I have a 3D printer behind my back.
It kind of peeks out. So you mentioned Firebase, and I know you can host the models there. Fine. I don't know. It's funny enough. I work on the Gemini and Android Studio stuff, but I know very little about machine learning. And I know even less about how to host the models. I just know that if someone gives you an endpoint and you send something to that endpoint and it gives you something back, I guess from an app's perspective, that's sort of what's happening, or is it like more complex?
So yeah, this one, I've got a nice diagram, handy little diagram in my back pocket. With this example that we've done, it's the one that's on GitHub is using just the standard models that are exposed to everyone. So these are not any fine-tuned or any custom models that are in the GitHub example. So what it does is that first, so basically you have a choice in the app. Obviously, take a photo, or you can also just input text as an option to generate a bot. And what we do at this point is for the image flow, we validate this image and we ask Gemini, just the standard Gemini, I think it's 2.5 Flash, if I remember correctly. We ask it, one, is this a picture of a person? Does it have like certain conditions? Like, is it got enough information that we can determine and make a nice description about it?
Mhm.
And then once we've got that description, we ask it to generate that very descriptive description of the actual image. So we're just using standard Gemini models at this point. And this goes through the Firebase AI Logic SDK. And this is the part that's like makes it quite easy in terms of integration, is that it's like any other Firebase SDK. You just add the dependency to your app and then call the model with your prompt that you have. So I think one of the blog posts that we have, this one that goes through how to actually call the model. So
Can you
we
zoom in a
use
bit?
Firebase.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we use Firebase AI. We give it the model that we're using. We give it the model name and we give it the generation config and certain things that we want, like the safety settings that we want. And then what we're doing is we're using the multimodal ability. So that's just adding different parts to your prompt. So we add the text to say, like, analyze this image and determine if it's acceptable. And then we pass the image as well. And we do the same thing for actually generating that description. So we don't do any custom model loading at this point. And I don't know if Firebase actually officially supports a custom model. We did have to do some stuff for Androidify particularly to enable it. So it's not, I don't think it's something that anyone can do publicly yet on
For
the
the
Firebase
internal
model
model, you mean?
themselves. Yes, so the version that we were running in this sample on like the release version and the version that was demoed at IO was the custom fine-tuned model that we did some extra like internal only kind of config to enable, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully it means something soon for everyone, for 3P people to actually access as well. But yeah, back to what we were doing in this flow. So we get this, we generate the description using the Firebase AI Logic SDK. Once we have this description, we then pass that on to that fine-tuned model. And in this sample, we have, so we caption the image and then the actual, how you can use Firebase to do something similar is you can just use Firebase AI, give it the backend that you want to connect to, and the image gen model that you want to connect to as well, and then call generate images with that prompt that we've now generated in the previous steps, and then get that bitmap out, and we display that on screen.
That's
for people.
fairly easy. Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully it's easy to integrate with a lot of these Gemini APIs. I think a lot of it is mostly working with the prompts and like piecing things together.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting part for me with this sample was like the combining of the different steps. Like I'd kind of never really thought of using AI in that way to like first do one thing, then do another thing, and like chain things together to get a different like result that you wouldn't normally get from just using the API as like a one-shot thing.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of thought the interesting bit came in for this.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very difficult to obtain a good image if you, or you would have to have users that input the text themselves. You can do the flow where they upload a picture.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah,
I guess
exactly. So
people probably write worse prompt than Gemini does. It's like I tried the text-based flow, and I started typing, and I was like, I'm tired. It's just send it, whatever. I can imagine a
exactly.
picture works better than that.
Well, that's also the thing, right? We put in like because we prompt with that. Like a lot of people when we were doing the demo booth had a lot of like people would come through and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, it got my like scrunchie in my hair, and it got like a clip that I was wearing, and my butterfly tattoo was on the like the resultant bot." So I think there was some like cute reactions in that way because it had like looked in depth at the image itself, which you probably wouldn't write out if you were to put
Yeah.
that prompt.
I am waiting to do well. I think well we did a couple of tests together, and that came out very well. I need to figure out like if I put on a Code with Italians T-shirt, would it then show up in the?
We actually, interestingly enough, like there were some good replications. Like it does very well and like sometimes too well at like replicating exactly what you're wearing. So we actually did some adjustments to obscure some of that because of like I don't know, like trademarks and things that you don't want to be replicating on a like an Android bot,
Yeah,
for instance.
yeah.
So unfortunately it was very good at it to the point where we were like, this is too good. We need to we need to make it less good.
Sorry for folks that really want everyone else to know they're wearing Balenciaga all the time.
Yeah. So we had to like do some I think there's some stuff in the prompt as well around like if there's any logo or anything like that, remove it from the prompt. So yeah, there
That's
was a lot of that
interesting.
kind of testing.
Yeah, I had never considered that that could happen, but I guess that's the interesting side of working with ML models is that it forces you to challenge your assumptions and your implicit rules, and it's like, oh no, I have to be very explicit about things because otherwise weird stuff happens.
Yeah. Or people can like use it in ways that you don't want them to. So you have to like try and like test it to the max of like, is this something that we want people to be able to generate? Maybe not. Let's like try and
Yeah,
explicitly
it's
cater for
like
that.
probably you don't want beheaded Android, for example,
Yeah,
unless it's like
exactly.
a
Things like that.
spooky Halloween kind of thing. But even then,
Yeah,
probably not. Branding might not be happy with that.
the,
Exactly.
I believe that the nicest touch is that it replaces most of the things with droids, and something that was very funny was the first day I was wearing a T-shirt with the Google brand
Mhm.
on myself, and it got transformed into a burger droid, which is actually incredibly accurate for myself as well. So
Because you're a burger, or
no, because well, yeah, you know that will go on a discussion for ages. We don't want to start that. We all know, but no, but I like burgers.
you do like burgers.
Yeah. There was do you have the stickers of those, Rob?
Yes, I actually have it. I should have an image. Let me see if I can actually find and share the image because I saved that. I have the sticker, but it didn't print correctly.
Oh, because you
Um,
had the booth where you could print the. Ah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So IO
yeah.
was loads of fun. At least for me, I had the best time. Like we were stationed in the so we had a separate Androidify booth this year, and we were like it was nonstop. There was just people coming streaming in to try and print a sticker, basically. But it was cool because like people would stand there. You had your props that you could select. So like you could choose an ice cream or something like that, and then it would take the photo,
Hmm.
transform you, and then the next part of the experience was coming to learn about the app and see how it works on the device. And then once you're done that, you could go and pick up your stickers.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was just like a stream of people and like constant queues of people trying to get their stickers printed. And we had some like really cute examples. What my absolute favorite of the event was the canine unit. So they have those dogs that come through that basically are at the event the whole time and they're checking
Hmm.
for any I don't know. They sniff
For
at dogs
things,
and they
yeah.
find anything problematic. And these dogs, like some of them had these cute 3D, like not 3D goggles. What am I talking about? They had these cute goggles on, and some of them were like ski goggles, and like they were ridiculous, but it was the cutest thing I've seen. And then we thought, okay, let's just try. Let's see what happens if the person. And it worked. It was so cute. They had the best one was the one with the like rainbow ski goggles, and I think everyone around us was just like dying of cuteness. It was like the cutest thing ever. Let me get the picture up for you because it was it was really we had a load of fun with it. So. And then they started sending all the canine unit through because it started. We were like, "This works."
Because
this is
of
amazing.
course why wouldn't you?
So this is
look at that.
Yeah. All right. Like, because we weren't sure, because we hadn't tested really with dogs in the picture. We were like, let's see if this works. So this guy came through and he did it. And then we all died. We were all like, this is amazing. This is the best day ever. And then we just spent the rest of the time basically sending all the canines through and getting their pictures. So this one was cute as well. The dog had like a little patch on its head. And it was, it was the best. There was another one as well. Oh, then we started trying with everyone's dogs at the office. So this one is a very cute Pomsky that came in, and we tried it, and it was the best. Not really a Pomsky in the result, but
well, the dog, close enough. I mean, considering that it
yeah.
wasn't explicitly trained for that, I think it's interesting that it did come up with dogs.
Yeah, the ski got. Like, I mean, look at this one. It's just.
Oh god, that's the cutest dog. It's like a super professional dog. Wouldn't want to mess with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the best. Anyway, back to talking about how it works.
Did we get distracted by cute dogs? Maybe.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that I think are notable with Androidify app, besides the AI stuff. We're talking about AI. We're done. Then we can move on to the rest.
Yes.
I think particularly notable things that I noticed are, first of all, it's expressive, which, there aren't that many examples of out there yet. Some stuff was shown at Google I/O, but we don't have it yet. We haven't used it in real life as much. So it's interesting to see that you've actually shipped something that is using Material 3 expressive, sorry. It's too long. And the other thing is that, I mean, you're showing it in a foldable, and clearly, because Roberto's here, I am guessing that it is well optimized for adaptive devices. So who wants to go first? Oh, there's another thing, which is it's full of really nice animations that I really appreciate. So it's nice to see an Android app can be that good, and I wish all the apps were that good.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. But Roberto, do you want to talk a little bit about adaptive?
Well, I
can open a class if you want to show it.
Are we sure about that?
So first of all, is this what is it? Adaptive diversified tier?
Differentiated. Yes, that is
I was
differentiated.
Close enough. So, I don't know the. Contrary to you, I don't know the names by heart.
Well, somehow feels like at some point I learned them. I don't know why, but they stuck in my head now. So yeah, actually, the thing that I liked the most was the camera layout, because it varied based on a huge amount of factors. For instance, if you had enough space, it will show the camera on the start part of the screen and the buttons.
Is there Hungarian notation I'm seeing? M context? What is this?
It happens.
Who's done that?
We'll ignore it.
Sorry, I
Ignore
had to
it.
stop Roberto because it's like, what is it?
Ignore that line.
Okay, fine.
I don't know how it slipped through the code review. So basically, if you have enough space and it detects a hinge, it will place the camera, the viewfinder, on the, let's say, left. It's on the start part of the screen, and the controls on the on the end. Or if the hinge is horizontal, it will place it in this way, which is also tabletop when it's in tabletop. And you can have also rear camera, because it doesn't really work that well on the emulator, but it works better on the device. Basically, you can have the good camera for the selfie. And of
Yeah,
course,
how
it
do we
also
even
works on
show
tablet.
that? Does it, if I click it?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
work
I
on
know
the
that.
emulator. Yes.
It's super complicated to make it work on the emulator. But yeah, the nice thing there is that it wasn't the easiest layout I've ever done in my entire life, but it wasn't even impossible. Like
It
with Jetpack
looks
Compose, it was,
full of stuff. I'll put it that way.
well, I did a fair share of complicated layout in my career, and this one classifies as a complicated one. But honestly, it took me a fraction of the time it would have taken me if I didn't have Jetpack Compose. So
Yeah.
it was actually complicated but fun. I mean, it's not an advertisement for Compose, but I
But if you're
actually
not
loved
using Compose,
doing
you
that
should
thing.
be using Compose.
Yes, it's actually easier to do that. And there are a few things that actually learned along the way, like how to wrap the Windows S classes and the window manager library to serve exactly what I need, because that's a general purpose library. And while it helps you understand exactly what kind of screen you're actually running
Oh, I see.
on, I actually needed to always use the same features in multiple places. And well, it made sense that I
Yeah. So
wrap
you
them.
you
And
wrote like a util layer on top of those APIs for your specific use case. So in the code, you don't have to do every time check the version of the extensions, check this, check that. But you have my use cases is I want to know if it's tabletop, I want to know if it's open or if there's a hinge because I adapt my layout based on that. And so I have my 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever functions that tell me that straight away.
yeah, that is that is one factor. Another thing that I remember because I totally forgot, is that that this function here that supports tabletop only works with extension version 6, which is shipping with Android 14, 15, I don't remember. But some the slightly older foldables that were not updated to Android 15 use these. So you actually had to do the other way around and check if it's open, so that you know for tabletop, which was a fun, because you actually put to practice things that you help people use every day, but you don't really use them like firsthand every day in a real life project.
And yeah, I guess that yeah, in this scenario where it's I guess landscape, although the ninefold is pretty much square, it's it's just putting the preview above the crease so it doesn't.
Yeah, there was the fun fact about that. The preview needs to be as vertical as possible. Well, the aspect ratio should be as close as possible to 16:9, because we want to capture a picture
Oh, I see.
of a standing human being, which is usually
But that looks
vertical.
square.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
So this
Yes.
example is, it would be more, I guess, if you were actually holding the phone, it would be a bit more visible. So this one is when your phone is like open. This is what tabletop is, right? It's
Yeah.
like half open. So that's what
Yeah.
displaying to your like so that you can take like kind of like a selfie, I guess.
Yeah.
But you can then like press the things at the bottom. So
Yeah.
if it was just fully open, you would
Yeah.
get the whole screen on
And
that side.
if you rotated in the fully open state, would it change anything?
So it just moves the content around.
Okay. Okay. So if it's open, it doesn't care about the crease. It's only okay. I see.
Yeah.
The crease is when it's in tabletop.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So since the problem with the fact that it's square, it's because in that specific scenario, you want a picture which aspect ratio is um, orthogonal to the sensor. So the sensor will actually be landscape, and you want a picture which is portrait. That's actually horizontal and vertical. So you need to intersect between the two, and the square is actually the say the sweet spot between the two, so that you don't cut too much of what the sensor sees.
So you essentially are taking a vertical crop, but the vertical crop just ends up being almost square because of the
Yeah, because you don't want to crop too much
Yeah.
of the sensor. Otherwise, you would have used like a very small amount of the image. That you
Yeah, and
get.
also I guess if you were showing on the screen a 16 by 9 slice, it would be like this
Yeah, super
large in
thin.
a
Yeah,
yeah, that would
I
look
mean,
Yeah.
maybe we didn't cater for the use case of somebody lying down on their bed trying to take a photo.
that is the bed top mode, not the tabletop mode. But maybe the
i.e. I'm
safety
lazy and I
filters
want to watch.
the safety filters would probably reject that image anyway.
Yes, they will.
Unless
Yeah.
you're sleeping, in which case I don't know.
I don't know. It's a close call. But and then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is the previews. So we have the adaptive previews. I don't remember exactly the name, which basically will showcase every composable in every possible scenario. So
Oh, I see.
phone, tablet, foldable. We already have that
Oh, okay.
as
So
an
you're
API available.
creating custom annotations that are essentially aliases for preview annotations in a specific scenario.
Yeah, this is what we did for a specific reason that I will talk about. But we have another API, which is the adaptive previews, which does that automatically. So every composable will be previewed in every scenario.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we didn't want that because we have very different layout, especially for the camera, that are based on capabilities, window size, and map. So we decided to split these previews so that we could attach them to different composables and stack them based on what we wanted
Mm-hmm.
to showcase.
I see.
That was actually helpful. So the lesson learned there is that even if there is an API that does exactly what you expected, uh, it might not always be your use case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this, I don't know why the camera one isn't working, but
Because
this,
camera probably.
it's, yeah. Oh, actually, yes, you're right. Maybe. No, actually,
I
but
don't
this
know.
one, I think it's the layout of something. I don't know. I'll
Yeah,
look at
Well,
that at
layout
some
should
point.
have
But
just blame me. I
the
broke
layout
it.
should have the boxes.
yeah, but this one is used on the results screen, and then you can see all the different like permutations of things, which I think is pretty nice to be able to use on this
Yeah, it's very cool.
this example.
Yeah.
You can also see like where things are a little bit tricky. So one example here is this phone screen preview, but because you need to actually provide, so you can see it like it's rendering the text on top and it just doesn't look right. But this is the actual screen that will be displayed when you're in landscape on a phone on results. The reason why here is because these the preview, like when you annotate it with a preview, it actually doesn't get in that window class information into it. So you have to provide that as a different value into it. Let me see if I can find that. So like here's the small preview, the results screen preview. and this one we provided in this like variable that we generally control to say
I
if
see.
it should be like verbose or not. We've used that concept, but I mean, obviously, with your own thing, you could decide what you want
So
to call it. But
verbose in this case would be with more elements on screen, so more lines of text
yeah,
and whatever.
yeah, and like this, well, in this case, verbose is like the text in the background, like that decorative text, and then this button
I see.
reduces down to doesn't have that share your button. It like moves to the other side of the screen. So yeah, the window manager library doesn't give you like it won't automatically take from
The
these
preview.
preview values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had to like provide in this example. So this one is just the normal one that takes it in from the library, and then in this case, I think the library is saying yes, it should allow full content always, even if your preview is different.
I see.
So then the other example here of this other preview doesn't take that into account.
So
So
you
we're
have
just
a
saying set
separate
it.
preview that you have hard coded the value in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the approach that we used for the adaptive part is that we had like the say the root layout in which we could use the adaptive preview. That's fine. We can more or less sorry the single composables, while the scaffold, which was the one that changed, we added the different annotations so that we could drive the behavior of the composable, because since we had many times the smaller composables that were really just the same, just placed differently, we really wanted to see exactly how they would look like.
Yeah, that makes a
That
lot of
was super
sense.
fun.
Makes a lot of sense. What was the trickiest part to do? Like for I would imagine probably Roberto, you did most of the adaptive stuff. Maybe not all of it, but probably most of it. What was the thing that you found the most tricky? Because I know that there are potential caveats, and I know that people that try to do adaptive apps sometimes they run into these caveats. Like, I mean, camera preview aspect ratio is one I've heard you mention several times in the past. So I guess that could be one of them. So now that you've developed an app and you had to go through that, how do you fix it? Speaking from
Well, first,
experience.
first thing, as of today, I wouldn't say fix it. You somehow live with some of the limitations.
Okay.
We are actively working on making it easier, but yeah, definitely camera is one of the trickiest one for many reasons. First is that the camera preview is heavily based on view.
All right.
Lifecycle difference from Compose. Um, it was not really meant for an adaptive world where you could resize, rotate, fold, unfold, all this kind of
See.
stuff. So that brings all a good chunk of new things that you need to account for, which these, let's say, older APIs were not really meant for. On the other hand, we used Camera X, so we didn't really have any reason to go back to Camera 2. The real difference between the two is that Camera 2 is way more advanced for when it comes to filters or
Yeah.
adding
But you just need
effects.
a picture.
We needed a picture. So Camera X did the trick. So many of these things are already embedded into Camera X. So it's already easier. But if you really, so there are two other steps that we could have taken, which is leveraging Camera X as much as possible and only go one level deeper. So basically creating an adapter to run specific features on the Camera 2 library, or the other way around, use Camera 2 for everything. The difference there is that at that point you really need to build your own wrapper that does all the things. That was definitely one tricky part. As
Yeah.
you saw in the tabletop one, it was quite tricky. Also because the perceived orientation of the window, or the real orientation of the window based on what you mean, might not be the same of the sensor.
Uh-huh. So if
So,
the window can be landscape because the screen is landscape, but the sensor is vertical in that case.
or even worse, imagine a scenario like where you're using a window mode on the tablet,
Mm-hmm.
and you resize the window.
Yeah.
So the tablet is actually
Mm-hmm.
landscape. The sensor thinks is landscape, and your window is actually a smartphone-like window. Even worse, you can use the tablet in
Oh
reverse
my God.
landscape. The sensor is landscape, and the app is reverse portrait. So you're like, oh gosh, that's complicated. Yes, that is in fact
So I
complicated.
guess what I'm hearing is just copy paste the code from Androidify and use that. And if it
No,
doesn't
well,
work, open a bug and Roberto will fix it.
so we are actively working on improving the experience there. Um, but yeah, if you can switch to Camera X, that's much easier. Makes your life easier. And yeah, the other tricky part is understanding when. So we were super lucky in that sense because we could decide the architecture from scratch. I mean, we started with a greenfield project, so that's
Mhm.
easier. We decided that we wanted a scaffold that decides where the composables should be placed,
Mm-hmm.
and that was already much, much easier.
So you have a custom scaffold,
Not
or
necessarily. We just say, yeah, this is our skeleton of the
mm-hmm.
window. This is how the window will render in this specific scenario.
Mm-hmm.
If there is this other specific scenario, use this. So basically, you can imagine our scaffold in many cases was like a list of scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the camera layout is actually the best example. And it's okay. You have these composables, which we passed
Mm-hmm.
there. Like you have the camera layout, the capture button, the viewfinder, the guide, the buttons, the zoom, the toolbar. All of this stuff could be placed dynamically on the screen based on the window size.
Mm-hmm. So if you're
So
resizing
our
the
camera,
window, it will just move stuff around.
yeah.
Or if you're on a
So
foldable, when you open or close, it would just move the stuff.
yeah. So we were lucky that we could start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Refactory might be trickier because you
Yeah.
might have a lot of assumptions baked in already. Um, but yeah, that was that were the trickiest parts in my opinion.
And yeah, I guess that is in general, if you can do it, a good approach. I guess if you use the material, like if you have a normal app, like you have a bunch of custom layouts at even at the top level. I guess if you're writing a more conventional app where you just use the normal scaffold, that will also, to a point, take care of moving stuff around depending on the form factor, right?
It really depends. So there are a couple of layouts that help you there, which come from Material, the Material Tree Adaptive Library,
Mm-hmm.
which, despite the name, doesn't bring you any style whatsoever. They only provide you with basic interaction, and
Oh,
those
I see.
are those are mainly list detail. So list detail is actually the most common kind of app that you can find. Like you have a list of item, you tap, and you get to the item. Like imagine,
I see.
I believe that you can think about 10 different uses of these. Right, easy, right there. Like any chat app, any reading app,
I
any
see. So it's kind of like the most common layouts. It does them
yeah,
for you, and you just need to provide the content.
yeah.
Okay,
Of
that
course,
sounds like it would help.
yeah, that's actually quite helpful. The other one is the supporting pane layout,
So
which
like
is basic
side sheets. Oh yeah.
side and bottom sheet, yes. And those are the two main layouts that unless you have very specific designs, those will help you in 90% of the time. You don't really need to take into account window size classes, or in many cases even folding feature, because they will be managed automatically. You just need to provide the content. Of course, if you want to move things around as much as we did with Androidify, then you have to go
you
deeper,
need your
right?
own thing.
Yeah, you
but
have to go down the rabbit hole.
The vast majority of apps, to be honest, don't do that. Like, probably this detail covers 80% of the screens of 95% of the apps out there.
Yeah, probably something along those lines. Yes.
Yeah. Numbers, I have them. Are they true? I don't know.
No.
I am a science person. I like
With numbers.
In the vein of professionalism that is in the stream everywhere.
Yeah. But I remember one day, while we were developing Androidify, I remember that I saw one specific animation that I wanted to replicate, and I couldn't, because you know me, where animations are, I'm as far away as possible. So
It's the
I
wrong
reached out to
approach to
Rebecca and
life,
said,
Roberto. It's the wrong approach to life.
I know,
You
but
should
that's
embrace
my
animations,
limit.
not run away from them.
No, but then I went to Rebecca and said, you know what, I'm gonna do all of this, and then you do your magic. I don't want to know how. You just do
No, but
it.
I want to know how. It's actually
That's
a
why we
perfect
have
segue.
Rebecca.
It's a perfect segue to the animations.
Okay, I guess we can start with expressive because it kind of ties
Yes.
into animations in some way. Yeah, so for those that don't know, we released something called Material 3 Expressive at I/O, and what it is an expansion pack. We are calling it an expansion pack. It is not a replacement for
It's an
M3.
expansion pack. It makes me think of the Nintendo 64.
It's like Sims, you know, we were so happy with Sims, whatever 3, and then you get like the pet expansion pack or whatever.
And
you
you're
know,
happier?
Kind of, yeah, you love it. You're like, I'm gonna go with, you know, pets everywhere. I'm gonna do that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's not a replacement, so you don't have to migrate to using it. You can use the things when it makes sense. But basically it's the ability to like make your app more like within your brand, more playful sometimes if you want it. It doesn't have to be, and just generally more fun, I guess, and more usable as well. There was a lot of research put into it. So if you read the article, we have an article on the Material.io blog that goes into the research behind it. And there was a lot of like studies around how much better it is for people of all ages just to be able to like use an expressive design, which has got like bigger shapes, like more prominent examples of like where to click on things, different typography. And then I think one of the bigger parts of expressive is the motion. So I'm going to talk about the motion bit as well. I'm just trying to find the actual, obviously I can't find the file that I need at this point. Yeah, so the difference with expressive is that you now get this material expressive theme. So yeah, worth noting this is experimental and it is in an alpha version. So if you want to try it out, you need to switch to the alpha version and enable some experimental
But
stuff.
say I am an adventurous kind of person,
Then
and
you
I
can
am
go for
already
it.
on the alpha compose bomb. Do I just
Then
need to
welcome.
switch the theme from Material 3 theme to Material Expressive theme?
Mostly, yeah. So
Okay.
you can add, you normally would be on the material theme.
Yeah.
But now what you'd switch to is the material expressive theme. And the new bit that's come up with this is this motion scheme parameter on it. So this defines like at a top level how your app will feel and how the animations are brought into the various different components. So there's two different kinds of motion schemes that you can opt in for, or you can build your own. So the default is expressive if you use the material expressive theme.
Sounds
if you don't,
appropriate.
you would you would just get the standard scheme, which is still applying animations to things, but it is less expressive. So it's just more like utilitarian, I guess. It's like this is
Less
maybe
playful,
for a
maybe. I don't
banking
know.
app. Yeah, it's like maybe just for an
I
app. It
want
just means like
my bank app to be like.
to have things moving around
Hey,
in
there
a
are
delightful way.
There are some banking apps that are very expressive in their designs. I'm thinking of
That is true.
a British e-bank that has an app made in Compose that's very expressive. I think you know which one I'm thinking about.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't use that one. Anyway, yeah. So we have the expressive options, and then what this does is it basically pulls up your motion to a point in your theme where you can access a spec in any point in the same way in which you access like a color or typography item. You can access like a motion spec at any point. So if you look at like the definition of it, you get essentially 6 specifications, these spring specs that you can use, but there's like 2 categories of them. So there's spatial and there is effects that you can use. So the spatial one is generally used for animations that move something on screen. So like a rotation animation, an X and Y animation, or any like a growing size animation, that kind of thing. And then an effect spec is used for things like your color changes, because you don't want your color to bounce. Like when you're animating a color value, you don't want any bounce, because that doesn't mean anything actually. Like what would it mean if you're going from transparent to a color? It would mean it bounces back between transparent and the color, which would probably look really bad for your people that are watching it. So yeah, there's 2 different kinds, spatial and effects, and then each of those has 3 different like speed kind of options for you. So the thing that happens now is like a lot of the components that you would pull in. So like I think the draw, the fab, that expanding fab, that one that has like a like options when it opens up.
Oh yeah, the
that
one
would
that
then
fans
take
up the various options.
Yeah, that one would take on this expressive like value and spec that you've provided in. So then the animations that it has will now being used from this point on. So a lot of the animations that are built in will then just pull from this, but you can then also, like I said, pull from this spec when you need it. So we've got some examples in the app that are actually using the scheme. So let's see. Yeah, so like the camera screen, when it fades in and out the guides on the screen, instead of like passing in a spec or using the default that is with fade in, we now access it from the material theme itself. So this is then you've now got a cohesive motion across your app, and there's not like one screen that uses like a very different looking motion to the rest of your screens. So let me find another example. I think the best animation that I feel like I did in the app is the one that combines material shapes, which are also new, shared elements, and the motion theme. So I was like, I'm going to live on the edge. I'm going to try all things at once. I'm going to try to do all of them together. Let me rotate the screen. Come on, give me the right layout.
Yeah, no, you have to go back and it's not.
There we go. So on this screen, we have the new material shape, which is the cookie shape. And yum, yum, we need cookies. But this one, basically what I've done is I've made it. Now I feel like cookies, man. Damn it. This one is fun because I was like, I want this to be a shared element from the screen to the full screen camera. And it might be too quick on this, but if I use predictive back, excuse
probably.
also the like lag on things.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so you can see, so I've got predictive back at the moment, and I'm pulling and I'm holding on the back gesture, and this integrates with navigation compose, because that's doing the predictive back gesture. It's also doing the shared element between the camera cookie icon and then the final screen, and it's integrating with the camera surface view as well. So there's many
Wow.
moving parts at this point,
Wow.
but as it grows, it transitions between the two different shapes. So you can see that like the cookie is actually the path around where it's getting cut is moving progressively towards like a rectangle shape
Mm-hmm.
and getting less cookie-like.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then as it gets more, it like then grows to that actual cookie shape.
That's really cool.
So yeah, that one was fun. Lots of interesting. I can show that one in particular. There was a bunch of different things that needed to be enabled for it. So yeah, it's the shared bounds reveal, I think I did, or one of them that has the shapes. Oh yeah, so I made this morph overlay clip mechanism. So yeah, shared bounds reveal with shape morph. So there is one thing that needed to happen, which is to make sure that the camera image doesn't move as it's like moving the shared element on screen. So if you don't skip the actual, so we've got these modifiers, skip to look ahead size and skip to look ahead placement. These two ensure that camera is in this, the camera composable is in the place that it's going to be in the resultant screen, and it's just revealing to that
I see.
result. So it's not going to move it as, because if without these, if we comment these out, I don't know if it's going to actually, how long it'll take to build, we can try. But if we comment these out and then run it again,
changes?
you'll see the camera.
Does that work?
Oh, I'm nervous with a camera.
Fair enough.
We'll see how long this takes to run. Hopefully not too long. But yeah, basically this, without this, it would actually, oh, look at that. Amazing. It would actually move the camera as you're trying to do that shared element animation. Like, and that's kind of how the default thing works. So providing these skip to look ahead size, it means it won't go in like that transitionary state where it's like trying to give it the small size and grow into the larger container. And then the placement is the same thing. So it won't just like move it to where that shared element is starting from. It's actually going to just grow towards it. It'll basically do the like reveal animation instead of movement, if it makes sense. Did it actually?
I might have pushed it to your phone.
To my phone. Yeah, let's push it to this one. Now it's going to take 10 minutes, watch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but now, Seb, you see why I told you that I left all the animations there.
I mean, there's a professional.
For me.
There's clearly a professional here.
So here you can see what's happening when I disable that. The camera is actually growing smaller, and there's content, like the buttons are moving as well. And I didn't want that, right? It looks okay, I guess, but like what I wanted it was to do like a reveal of the next screen.
Is that because the window that they're in is actually getting smaller as the predictive back happens? And so this is like, no, just pretend it's fine. Pretend it's you're in the regular state. I see.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily the predictive back, it's more just the shared elements. It's growing to like the target size and the content size is like, it starts out when you say like shared element or shared bounds, it starts out at the size of what the like originating item is going to be. So,
this is all in the same activity, so of course it doesn't.
So yeah, skip to look ahead size and skip to look ahead placement. This is one that I've got as a modifier in here. Oh, now my Android Studio hates me. No.
You're trying to do too many things.
So skip to look ahead placement
code
is something that I think will become a modifier as part of the foundation soon. But at the moment,
Doris you copied from Androidify. Okay.
At the moment, copy from Androidify, which we copied from Doris. Very smart Doris. And basically this like just ignores the placements that are happening in between and then just goes to that final placement that's happening. But yeah, there's like, so this kind of is combined with a few like, so this can be done, I guess, as like a reveal animation without all the clipping and the morphing and everything. But I was just like, I want everything in one. Like, throw it all in. Like, let's do it all. So the other interesting bit is this morph clipping mechanism. So using the shapes library, which in this case, so with material 3 expressive, we now get a bunch of new shapes. So these are built in. So like the cookie 9-sided shape, you don't need to do anything. You can just use it like that. So there's a whole bunch of built-in shapes. And these all do morphing between each other, which is the nice bit.
Oh, so they already have all the right number of points and all of that.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
I could even do animations myself now. Between those things, not much more, but
exactly, all you need to do is define your two shapes and then use the morph.
I guess that's
and then
how
pass it progress.
the new progress indicator works, where that has all the different shapes. It does a spin, and while it's spinning, it does the morph.
Exactly, yeah.
Now it's easy to do. I mean,
all those. The nice bit is also the new material APIs. There's like on these button presses, you can, I don't know if you can really see on here, but this is doing a shape morph. So you can provide in different shapes and then like it automatically will do on press, okay, morph to this certain shape that's been provided in. So that's like another element of expressive that's come in, is like these shapes that you pass in can be then used in button groups, in different kinds of things like that. The one example that we don't actually have in Androidify is what I call squishy buttons, but they're not called that officially.
I like the name though.
You have buttons in a button group, and then when you, I think maybe we do have one on the camera. Do we have one? Oh, when you have more than one option for zooming. So when you have your camera supports like different zoom levels, there's a zoom little icon here, and you can press it, and then that squishes the surrounding buttons, which I think is quite a nice interaction to like move things out of the way as part of like interaction with one button. And that's a built-in component as well, which is fun.
So, is that the one that you see in like the presentation where they press, or the animation simulates the user pressing one, and the other one's kind of like slightly move while the one that is being pressed changes the shape as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
Squishy
there is
buttons.
an example.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah, I like the name. Yeah, I think we should
that makes sense.
What do you think? Where is that one?
We
I don't know if I
actually
have it in here.
we have a very interesting question from the chat.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is, does Compose in low-end devices suffer with all these animations between shapes and morphing?
I don't know. I don't know what the exact, like which shapes, which device come from low-end devices. I mean,
So
I think a lot of our advice is just like try it out on your devices that you're targeting and ensure that, like, I mean, a lot of this has been optimized very heavily to support these shapes. Like this graphics library was like tested extensively to be able to like do things in an optimal way, like, you know, not recreate certain thing, like certain not recreate the polygons when you need to, that kind of thing. So like there's a lot of optimizations that have been done to support devices that have like lower specs, but it also comes down to how much you're doing and how much you're like displaying to the user, I guess. So we always say like profile and see if this is a real issue for you, but like the components themselves have been pretty extensively tested. So.
I think if you start including like video or the camera preview, that might be a bit taxing on low-end devices. I think if it's like a regular UI, the one that most applications would have, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, unless obviously you're doing work on the main thread that you shouldn't be doing on the main thread, in which case it will suffer. You'll probably not notice it on a fancy device, but if you have a low grade device that doesn't have that much power or RAM or both, then yes, it will probably lag a bit. The other thing that I would say is, in my experience, there is an easy way to improve performance most of the time, which is to use the newest Compose version you can, because they do have a lot of like performance improvements. I know they're doing a lot of work, so that
Yeah.
also helps. I mean, it might not be night and day difference, but if you're teetering on the off the edge of dropping a frame here and there, then that might actually improve things.
Yeah, there was a whole so the 1.8 blog post. I'm actually trying to find it. I don't know if I can access all of them here, but the 1.8 blog post on Compose, I think, spoke a bit about performance and all the work that's been going on behind the scenes for that. But yeah, there's basically like dedicated teams working on this all the time, and lots of checks in place to ensure that we are not shipping things that don't work well on all the devices.
Yeah.
So
And I know there's a lot of like there's a big dashboard for performance and yeah, the lag in the emulator is it's a lot worse when you're screen sharing.
yes.
Unfortunately, screen sharing takes a lot of GPU power out of your computer for some reason, at least on Mac. And so it lags a lot more
Every
than it
time I
does.
screen share, everything just like my whole computer just hates me. So and then it's like the worst when you're trying to demo animations that are nice and elegant. But that's when I do recordings, and you can look at all the recordings of everything on the blog posts and that kind of thing. But yeah, this one in particular, like when you that's why integrating predictive back is actually really good, because then you can sync things nicely inside here, and using the previews in Android Studio. So like you can do the actual animation preview here, if I can load that.
It needs to render.
Let's see if it'll work. So this is a...
The morph doesn't seem to work.
Yeah. I haven't actually tried this one in particular.
Well, I just learned of a new tool.
Roberto,
I didn't know that it was a thing.
Roberto, I'm gonna get you fired. Stop it.
You should know all the tools, man.
Yeah.
All the tools.
You clearly don't.
Well, no.
You don't use Studio enough.
This one was cool to do as well, but then I just actually noticed another. So this one, animation preview, was also mostly working, but I did notice an issue that I need to report if it'll actually load it. Let's see.
I also have to say that the entering animation that you do on the screen is really nice, where the text comes in and then the image flips in. Like all of that coordinated motion is really, really nice.
Yeah, that one was using existing non-newish things. So that's just using like...
You don't even need the DLC.
You don't even need material shapes for that. I don't know. This is not loading so well. Let's see. Try again. Oh, there we go. Not yet supported animated content. It's going to load the other ones. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. It's actually... It's disappearing to the top where it shouldn't, but...
Oh, it's going the wrong direction.
Actually, yeah, I think that's... Yeah, it's just doing the exit, maybe? We want the enter. So, I don't know.
Diego!
But if I run it on the device, you'll see the fun example. So let's actually run it here and see if the performance is good. So... Oh yeah, I'm not going to use a photo. Another option that we added as well was the help me write button.
Oh, that's cool.
So this, like you said, you were lazy, right?
Yeah.
When typing out stuff. So
is it just going to make Gemini up one entirely from scratch?
Exactly. We'd use Gemini to like prompt
Gemini.
create a prompt to prompt Gemini to, we just live in a world where the AI will do everything for
It's
us.
AI all the way down. Is it also
Exactly.
gonna look at it for you? Look at the result and be like, yes, I like it.
Yeah, let's try this one. So bright pink, curly, short hair, wearing a yellow jumpsuit,
I like
and a
yellow.
single flower behind the ear. Let's try.
I also
this
notice
animation
a
as well.
classic animation technique. I guess
Yeah,
that's
the
trim path. Yeah.
the path reveal. There we
Yes,
go.
this animation is really nice.
Yeah, so this one is just using where did I do it now? So it is the contents, and we are using just an animated visibility
Oh,
for a lot of
okay.
it. So, and I think I did it combined with. I need to remind myself it's been a month,
I don't remember what I
Basically,
did yesterday.
when it's added, yeah, actually it's just using animated visibility. So
Mhm.
when the items are added into the screen,
Yeah.
the animated visibility will, or like when it gets the actual results. So if the bitmap is then not null, which is at the start. So at the start it will be null, but then it's immediately set to a certain value. Then the
I see.
animation will kick in. So the result card has animated visibility on it, and it's basically a fade in combined with a slide in vertically, and that'll just with a delay. So like we've delayed it by a certain amount of time, and then so that card comes in from the bottom to the position, and then the text behind it. So the text behind it comes in first. So that's just using marquee, the modifier dot marquee on it. If I find that now, background quotes. So this is using modifier dot marquee on the text, but when it enters into the composition, it will animate its visibility by sliding them in from the right. So from the right, yeah. So
Because
that's
they're
just
both
happening.
because they're both marqueeing towards the left. It just does the first animation and then the marquee takes over.
Pretty much, yeah. So that's exactly what's happening. So that happens first, and then the card shoots in from the bottom to reveal the bot.
Yeah.
So it's two animations, and then combined with the marquee, basic marquee on the text itself. And then when you click on it, it does the flip animation to reveal what you were before, like either your image or your prompt that you've provided it.
And that is a Z rotation.
Yes, so we've got a flippable card that has some state with it, and it uses a single transition object, and then for each side, we then decide the rotation of it and the opacity to fade them between each other. So on click, it basically just flips between those those values, and then we apply a rotation Y with those values on each side, and that then produces the flipping
Oh, why?
animation.
Right, because it's flipping this way.
Yeah, and the Z index as well also is needed to be able to properly ensure that the one that's in the front is at the correct.
Oh, because when you're
one on top.
midway, you just swap the Z indexes so they don't overlap. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's some stuff around the keyframes for it, but it's not. It's just doing those swapping between the two values of the rotation. Yeah, and I guess that's most of the animations in here.
There's a reveal. There's another reveal.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that was just the back.
This was a color splash one. We have a color splash.
Yeah, the one that
transition
expands
we
from
defined.
the let's start, right? The get started.
Yeah. So this one, I started out with thinking I could just do a shared element, but I think I was potentially too complicated to use a shared element. I didn't need one in this point, so it's just doing drawing. So on click, it does a draw reveal like this is a certain size. So it starts at like almost 0 size, and then it goes to like the size of the max between the width and the height, and then it goes to like a little bit bigger than that. So the size of the circle grows, and all we're doing is drawing a circle and translating it to the start point of where it like the originated from, so where your click originated from, and then growing it in the size, the current size that we've passed on. And then once it's finished, so we do size animate to, we're using a launched effect just to be able to use these coroutines. And then we animate to the target size and then animate back down to 0. And then when that's finished, we then do the actual transition or like hide it to the other screen.
Oh, I see. And then you have those callbacks in the middle that do, I guess, the navigation.
Yeah, so the navigation is done in the middle, I think, if I remember correctly. Oh, this is just the preview. So where did I find it? Main navigation. So yeah, on transition midpoint, we then add something to the back stack so that you don't see that like transition happening. And then when it's finished, we then just like don't show the whole thing at all.
Yeah.
And then that will disappear.
Yeah.
The
And
interesting bit was
that
using...
is playing on top of the actual navigation happening.
Yes.
And I guess you take out any animations if you have any animations in the navigation. You just obscure the screen, and then stuff happens in the meantime.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Okay, that's
the
cool.
interesting bit was was using one of the new modifiers to get the position. So we had a lot of feedback from people that they want to be able to get positions of things. Oh wait, no, this is something different. In this example, we just get the position on click, like, well, not on click, every time the layout changes of that button, we then just save that position. But one other thing that's kind of not related to this at all, I guess, is what we've done with the video player. So to be able to play and pause the video, we're using a new modifier called modifier dot, where is it now? On visibility changed. This one's using the old one. If I switch to main.
By the way, when you're talking about video, you're talking about the dancing Android on the initial screen, right?
So this one is a GIF. So this one is using Coil to load up the GIF. The video is actually on this.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. I'm trying to see visibility changed. Yeah. So there is a new modifier in Compose that is working with this on visibility changed modifier.
When
and
you
that just notifies
say
you.
new, is it 1.9?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is in 1.8 there is on, I think it's called on global rect changed.
Yeah.
And this is built on top of that. So
Okay.
if it's visibility change modifier, I'm trying to find the actual. But yeah, this one, it basically builds some like debouncing into it and like some logic around what you want to be determined as like visible. So in some cases, if something's only like 0.1% or like 1% visible on screen, you might not want to trigger anything. So like if I'm just at this point where like the video is slowly peaking towards the side, I might not want to do anything. But if I know I'm like 50% visible, then I should start the video. So that's what this like min fraction visible is. But this modifier is new in 1.9, which is quite useful because it's built on the more performant version of that layout.
And I guess
changed.
you could use it for like video stuff or interactive elements as they come into like a lazy layout, for example.
Yeah, a lot of the requests are also for logging, so like for just tracking, like ad tracking, and
I see. Yeah.
just to be able to like know like event logging,
Yeah.
the SDKs that do that kind of stuff. So to be able to determine something reliably is on screen and a certain percentage is very useful.
Yeah, and it sounds like an easy problem, but I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, there was a lot of code needing to be written for tracking rectangles on screens is actually kind of hard, turns out.
Okay, so so in this case is after it's fully visible for at least 100 milliseconds, then you start the video playback.
Yeah. Yeah, we could change this to make it, I mean, I guess we want to maybe, it's pausing it, I guess, as you like move it onto the side of the screen. So
Yeah, you can see it
Makes
starts
sense.
playing after it, when it's settling down, essentially.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know what else we can talk about. I guess we're almost at time, maybe.
Yeah, we are at time. I don't know if there's any questions from the audience. I think there are a lot of really cool things in the Androidify app that, I mean, you could probably start nerding out about the details of animations everywhere and small things. But I think we've covered a lot already. Are you using the new navigation stuff?
Yes. So it is using Nav3. Where is it now?
Look at me,
Main
all
navigation.
knowledgeable about new things.
We are using Nav3 to do things, to display things on screen. We're not, I think you need to get Don on stage here to talk to you all about scenes and transitions and stuff like that. I'm not the expert in that per se. I just used it and it works and I'm happy. And I found a bug or two and it was fixed and everything was happy.
As long
So,
as they're fixed, that's the right thing.
yeah, I'm a happy customer of Nav3 if that helps sell it for your next episode, I guess. Hey Don, this is you volunteering to come on.
Next time you go to the office, just tell him. Don,
Yeah,
you'll have
actually,
to
I
do a
signed
stream.
you up. Yeah.
Okay, I think we don't have new questions in the chat, so I think we can probably wrap it up. And I mean, this was very interesting for me. I hope it was very interesting for folks as well. We managed to do this stream despite everything. And, as always, Rebecca, Roberto, when you're coming, it's always interesting stuff. So I am looking forward for the next time that you'll be here. I don't know what you're going to be talking about. Roberto, you're not allowed to talk about Windows size classes anymore. Sorry.
Oh, well, too bad. There is a new alpha version of Window Manager. I mean,
That's his next topic.
Never ends. It never ends. Roberto, can you just do it right so you don't have to do it again?
Wow.
I could,
But then,
would I?
yeah, job security, am I right? I guess
you undercover my plot.
it wasn't too hard. I guess I'll see you at some point later in the year talking about the new Windows size classes. Maybe by then they will be moved to beta. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, no, definitely. There is an alpha, so at some point there will be beta.
Yeah. And Rebecca, obviously, at any time, I don't know if you want to talk about any of the new things in 1.9. I haven't had time to look at the new stuff. I've only seen your post on Blue Sky about the shadows that I'm very
shadows
excited about.
Are a thing. Everyone is very excited about it. So happiness.
It's kind of funny because a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was asking, "Oh, is there a way to like use a brush for shadows?" Because I want to do the gradient shadow thing effect, and they were like, "No, there isn't, but there might be." And so I'm very happy to see that now I can do that. And you actually already have an example of how to do that. I only need to change the colors a bit. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much for having us. It was loads of fun. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry for rambling on about animations and material expressive.
No, it's fine. By the way, Bamboo Labs, don't forget. Reprinters for everyone here.
Yes.
Yeah, so from today, we're going to be on a summer break like every year. We'll be back in September. I don't know exactly when yet, but September. Obviously,
Ish.
keep an eye on our social channels. Join us on the Telegram chat. We're still going to be there for the summer. Apart from when I'm at the beach, I might not answer when I'm at the beach. I make no promises about that. But yeah, folks, have a great summer. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Rebecca. And see you all soon. Bye, folks. Enjoy.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.